In this lesson, we'll be looking at some 10 SEO ranking factors that actually work. And why we're talking about these SEO ranking factors is because there are a lot of lists out there that contain like 200 SEO ranking factors and stuff like that. And it can be a bit scary for someone who is not really SEO savvy, who is just getting into the discipline. What I'm trying to tell you in this video is that you can survive with some 10 essential factors, which I'm going to share with you in this video. And remember that these factors are mostly on-page technical SEO related. So if you search around the internet, you'll see lists like these Google's 200 ranking factors and by Backlinko. And this list is usually updated like every year. And the thing is, it's a list that contains 200 SEO ranking factors, which is a lot. It's not a bad idea to go in and try to master all of these factors and how to implement them on a website. But the challenge for a newbie is that it looks overwhelming and it looks impossible to implement. So let's focus on these 10 factors which I've used consistently on my website and ranked pages number 1 on Google without having to think about any other factors out of this. Number 1 is keyword research. Number 2 is keyword use within content, the length of content, writing original content that is plagiarism free, and use of the keywords in the H1 tag, use of the keyword in the title tag, use of the keyword in meta description. Number 6, keyword in URL structure. Number 7, provide the content you promise to provide. So don't promise something with a keyword and when people land on the page, they don't get what you promised. Then check your website speed. Make sure that the page that you uploaded can load very fast. There are no images that are heavy or not optimized that can slow down the page. You want to check out all these things. Number 9 is to include an image or many images within your post, and the image file name should contain the keyword, and the alt text within that page should contain the keyword. Number 10, which I don't want to call a factor here, is to be patient because SEO takes time. So having looked at these 10 SEO ranking factors, let's just get into each one in detail. So forget about the long and complex list, maybe 200 factors and above, but if you can learn it and master how to implement on the website, go for it. But then what we're trying to do today is to limit it to 10 ranking factors. Number 1 is keyword research. Any SEO specialist or anyone who plays around building websites knows what keywords are. But if you don't, I'm going to jump into a page and show you a few tools that you can use for keyword research. So let's talk about Ubersuggest, for example. And let's assume we're looking at a keyword free math or free fractions or fractions games, and we're looking at the search volume in the United States here, and it has a search volume of 1,900, an SEO difficulty of 63, and there are other related keywords around that keyword which also have a certain high search volume. And one thing with keywords, when you're researching for keywords to create content around, you may want to target keywords that have a low search difficulty. What that means is that it's slightly easier to rank for those keywords than those that have a high search difficulty. So the closer you are to 0, the better the keyword difficulty, the easier it is to rank, and the higher you are to, or the closer you are to 100, it's harder to rank for. So when you are searching for keywords, these are some of the things that you have at the back of your mind. In this case, fractions games, and Ubersuggest is a tool. There's Ahrefs, there's SEMrush, there are many other tools out there. You can even use Google Keyword Planner, which is free. Another tool is the Edge Super Tools, which are free here, and you can search for that same keyword fractions games or fraction games, and this is the global search volume. This time it's not only in the United States. You can look at it. The keyword has 8,000 searches per month, and if you were signed into this tool or if you had a membership to this tool, it will tell you the SEO difficulty. So let's just assume that it's a low competition, low SEO difficulty keyword and want to go for this keyword. There we can collect. When we have had this keyword and we are sure we want to go for it, we can then collect other related keywords like these ones: fraction games for kids, fraction games online, which also have a certain search volume and maybe low competition. You can see how you can fit in all these other related keywords within the article. So that was it for keyword research number 1. Number 2 is to include that content within that keyword within your content. So you're going to write content and include that keyword a certain given number of times. So if you're writing an article that is 1,000 words long, you want to include that keyword at least like 2 or 3 times. And one thing you should do as good practice for before writing your content is to type in that keyword in Google and find the other websites that are ranking number 1, number 2, number 3 for that keyword, and go into their pages and see how they wrote their content. Make sure that you create content that is better than theirs and content that is longer. Avoid content that is plagiarized. There are a lot of plagiarism checkers online, tools that you can use if you hired someone to write the content to make sure that it is 100% original. So let's come back to content. Talking about content, if you look at this page, the content is all this written text and everything you see on the site. And notice that within the content, the keyword fraction games has been used. And right below as well, you see that keyword is also here, used here. And look at how the content is. It is extensive. So I looked at, for example, the competitors who have covered this topic, and I can use a tool like Web Page Word Counter to check, to drop in their URL. So in this case, I just drop in my URL and it tells me that I have 1,168 words. So if my competitor only wrote 500 words or 200 words, I want to beat them at the game with an article that is like 1,000, 2,000, who knows, but keep it relevant to the keyword, to the topic that you're covering, and make sure that people will be interested in whatever you're offering. Like what I've said here, fraction games, it's about fraction games, and I've kept it longer than my competitors. Number 3 is to have your keyword in your H1 tag. Every web page or every web page should have an H1 tag for good practice. So check this out. This is the H1 tag, and it is this visible title at the top of the page, and it contains the keyword. Remember to include the keyword in the H1 tag. So we're seeing a second place where we include the keyword. We have the content within the page and also within the H1 tag. Point number 4, include the keyword in your title tag. What this means is, if you have a website, this is the title, what we have in the browser right there. We cannot see it just looking at it, but there's a place on every web development platform, be it WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, Dreamweaver platforms for creating websites, that allows us to put in the page title. Remember to include the keyword in the page title. So for this page, and within Dreamweaver, which is the tool in which it was built, notice that the page title is here, document title, and the keyword is there, right there at the bottom. So remember to include that in your page title, the keyword. Let's come back to what I was showing you here. And the next factor is the 4th, keyword in meta description. The meta description is what, when you search for a web page, so if we search for website page word counter as a keyword, and we landed on a number of websites, and we saw this first website, what is the meta description? Is this one. And keep it relevant to the content of the page. Describe the page in a way that will capture someone to click on it, because if you describe a page different from what the page is offering, it's going to lead to a high bounce rate. And if you have a high bounce rate, Google is going to lower your rankings. So pay attention to the meta description in order to increase the CTR. Then, number 6, include the keyword in the URL of the page. So if you look at this page, the URL section of it is here. So you have the website domain name right there. And then this is the URL with the keyword within it. Remember to include the keyword in the URL, because it tells Google that that page is about that keyword. Point number 7 is to provide the content you promise to provide. What that means is, don't say you're offering fraction games and I land on this page and see nothing related to fraction games. You're telling me something else about fractions or something completely unrelated. Remember to offer what you promised. It's going to reduce the bounce rate. So, sorry about that. I have to take out that page. So point number 8 is to optimize your page speed. When we say page speed, it is actually the time it takes for a page to open from the moment it was loaded in the browser. So if you have a I want to go to this web page and I copied all this URL and I dropped in the browser and I sat here for 10 minutes, then it means 10 minutes is my page speed, which is poor. So you want to make a page that loads very fast, because people are not patient past a certain number of time on the internet. Generally, for good practice, your page speed should not be more than 4 seconds. So if people wait for more than 4 seconds, what happens? They will bounce off, they will leave your website. And if you keep getting a high bounce rate, Google is going to lower your rankings over time. And the way you can check for your site speed in this case is to drop it in a tool like GTmetrix. So if you look at GTmetrix, the same page I dropped has an A. So an A meaning it loads at 3 seconds, 3.3 seconds. That is good. It's under the required time that people should wait. That's why it has a green and an A score. But if you begin to see something like F score with reds over the place, it means that something is wrong with your page. You want to go back and fix it. And some of the things that slow a page could include heavy images on the page. When I talk about heavy images, I'm talking about JPEG files or PNG files or stuff like that you upload on the page. All of that could slow down the page. So if you have that kind of situation, you want to go back and optimize your images. The next thing is, as good practice, was an SEO factor number 9, is to include an image in your post. And by that, I'm talking about something that is related to the topic. In this case, this is the image. You can put one image or you could put more images as long as they illustrate different sections of your content. And for images, there is also what we call the file name of the image. How do you name that file? In this case, I'll blow out this page a bit like this. You have fraction games as a keyword. That file name should be fraction-games. It should contain the keyword as well. So another important thing is to include what we call the alt text behind the image. So if I click on this image, you'll see alt here. It contains the keyword. Remember to include the alt text as well. Don't just leave your images blank. Then we have the final SEO ranking factor, which is not really a factor you'll see elsewhere in many places listed as a factor, is be patient. When you create content for a website or web page, it doesn't rank over a day or a month. Sometimes it takes 4 to 6 months. But that also depends on the domain authority or the domain score of the page, of the website. Some websites have a high domain authority, and when you post content within such websites, it takes a shorter time to rank than on websites that have a low domain authority with low domain score. So be patient when you have followed all these 10 factors. So these are the things that you should pay attention to. And I want you to go to the comment section and type what your experience is on this topic and what factors worked for you. I know that people are not going to follow all these 10 factors. People have applied other things that have really worked for them. So we'll be interested to see that in the comment section. So just as a recap, these are the 10 factors you want to pay attention to, listed here. You've got it on your screen. If you focus only on these factors, you can rank any website. I've been doing that, and I've been ranking number 1 for a lot of keywords, which I'll be sharing subsequently.